Time for Gladys to mask up. Why is gold going so high? And tech stocks, dividends, reporting season is starting soon. I'm Peter Switzer.
I'm Paul Rickard. And we're mad about money.
Now, Paul, I don't want to pick on Gladys. I think she's been doing a great job in New South Wales. But if we don't mask up and New South Wales goes down the same road as Victoria, the economy will be in recession for 3 quarters, not 2. What do you think?
Look, I have a bit of a struggle with the masking up business, Peter, but look, you're probably right. I mean, I think the issue, and I think the credit of New South Wales and the New South Wales Health Department, what they've been really good at is tracing and getting onto these outbreaks quickly and testing quickly. And Victoria's just a debacle. I mean, there are stories that are still taking 5 days for a test result. Obviously, their tracing is just chaotic, you know. But you're worried about...
Dan is not the man.
Well, Dan's not the man. I'm not sure what we can say about Gladys. Maybe the mask up will, as you say, Peter, would solve some of the issues.
Public transports, in lifts, in shopping precincts, not at home. You don't have to go to bed with a mask on. You just simply have to do it where...
Perish the thought, right? Masks are becoming fashionable. They're now a fashion accessory, Peter.
Yeah, so, I think so too. I want one in the Roosters and the Swans. So when I go, so I can go to the football. That's another thing. If we had masks, we could go to the footy.
But you're speaking as an economist, not as a health expert,
True.
Right? So you're, as a money man and an economist, mask up. Is that right?
Yeah. So some people care about health. I care about wealth.
Right.
And I think both go together with masks. That's it. Ring the bell. Why is gold going so high?
Well, gold's been going up for a long time, Peter, and I think there are 2 underlying causes. I mean, and you should talk about what Michael Knox had to say, but this is really a story about weakness in the US dollar, and it's a story about the US government printing lots and lots of money, which they are. They're running the biggest budget deficit in the world they have been ever, and it just gets bigger and bigger, and Congress is about to approve, hopefully this week, another stimulus package. So despite what Donald's saying, the US currency is still sort of, you know, the US government's printing so much money, and I think it's possibly a little bit of a risk aversion to say, well, maybe the US currency being sort of the reserve currency, there's some risk in that continuing.
And Paul,
forever,
is it fair to say when the dollar falls, gold goes up and vice versa?
So we're seeing the natural thing. You know, when we get a weakness in the US dollar, commodity prices, including things like gold and silver, going up. That's also why you're seeing the price of silver
and why the Aussie dollar's going up.
And why the Aussie dollar's going up. So it's sort of fund managers, if anything, sort of having a bit of a halfway bet, saying, look, we understand that markets, you know, equity markets, there's so much money around, they're just going up, being driven by the demand. But also we're going to just make sure that we're just not exposed too much, and we're going to put a little bit into gold as sort of a sort of a bit of a
safety hedge.
Bit of a safety
hedge.
But
I'll tell you what's interesting, Paul, is some people are also arguing that gold's going up now because those people have doubts about whether a vaccine will turn up on time. I think if a vaccine does turn up, and Dr. Anthony Fauci, the American top medico, he thinks by October we could see one. If that's the case, I reckon the gold price falls because gold is the safety thing. If vaccines come, the economy is going to be rebounding and maybe the US dollar will improve. But I think really vaccine and gold is an important issue to watch. Finally, Paul, in the Switzer investing program on Monday, we looked at some tech stocks that people really like. And I got Julia Lee and Michael Wayne from Medallion Financial to assess these, and they like most of them. So tech stocks have done very, very well. Dividends are supposed to be copping in this reporting season. Could the tech stocks knock the market for a 6 if they don't deliver well?
Well, some of the big tech stocks, really, we're not going to see a lot of news. So Xero, for example, reported back in May, so we're not going to see a report from Xero. That's probably my favourite tech stock. I think yours as well, Peter. Afterpay, we probably know most of the numbers on Afterpay
So they will report Afterpay?
So they will report, but we've already got the growth numbers, so most of the news is probably out. So the things like the Wise Tech, and there's going to be some of those companies reporting, which is important. I think it's reporting season. This is the time when most companies give us an update on their half-year or full-year results. It's going to be pretty messy, Peter, and we're going to see some choppy days in the market because a lot of unknowns about dividends. Is Commonwealth Bank going to pay a dividend? I think is the biggest question.
Yeah, big question.
And if they don't, then we're not going to see NAB and ANZ and Westpac come forward and repay reinstate their suspended dividend, right?
Wasn't it?
And that'll frighten some other financials also from paying a dividend. So Commonwealth Bank is going to be pretty important. We've seen particularly a company like CSL, which is still the premier company in Australia, but its share price has been coming down because of the US dollar, maybe concerns around whether they're having, in the US, because of the lockdowns, they can produce as much plasma. But CSL typically surprises on the upside. So the market's still going to be expecting a good result from CSL. That's important. At the same time, we've got companies like BHP and Rio kicking off, or Rio kicks off today. They're going to have great results, right?
Yeah.
Because of
and
what's
they will
on.
pay dividends.
And they will pay dividends. So it's going to be a choppy season. And putting the overlay in tech, we know some of the tech companies are on pretty elevated multiples. So I think it's going to could be a little challenging for the Aussie market. Let's just, the outlook statements are going to be really important.
What's going to be really interesting is how important has the JobKeeper payment been to keep company profits up? One company reported, a small one yesterday, profit was 16 million. Yep. Its JobKeeper amount was like 13 million. So it's going to be very interesting. This partly explains why the government extended JobKeeper. It will help company profits. I'm Peter Switzer.
I'm Paul Rickard.
And we're mad about money.
Shh.